What's up, everybody? I'm Zach, and I'm coming at you with fire and ferment. And today, we're gonna be pulling pork. Stick around. Let's start with a butt. A pork butt, you sicko. You're looking for a bone-in Boston butt. Don't let the name deceive you. This comes from the shoulder of the pig, not the butt. Any size will do. This is a perfect pulled pork recipe as it's super forgiving, delicious, relatively cheap, and there's very little you can do to screw it up. Traditionally, you smoke this whole. However, most of the flavor comes from the bark, so I like to maximize surface area and maximize bark by cutting it in a diagonal cross section like so. Try to make it even and keep the bone in on one side. Score the fat cap to help it render. Some people trim this down, but I leave it on as fat is flavor, and if properly rendered down, it'll mix in with the meat when you shred it for maximum flavor. No need for a binder. I typically go in with a 50-50 diamond crystal kosher salt and 16 mesh black pepper, and that's it. I trimmed and rubbed the night before. My butt went into the fridge and I went to bed. I woke up really early the next morning and went and bought some donuts for my family, then got the smoker ready. We're not going to use the top grate on the Belfab offset today, so we'll take it out. Let's fire up the pit. We'll drop in some Nature Glow lump charcoal and get it lit with the Sondico grill torch. We're going to be cooking with post oak today. We'll get our cooker up to approximately 200 degrees Fahrenheit. We want our fire to be a good mix between clean and dirty, meaning it's not thin blue and it's not billowing. I'm doing 3 butts today, so 6 halves, because why not? I've got the space and I'm building the same fire, so might as well vac seal the leftovers and freeze for later. Throw the pork butts on fat cap up. I've got a water pan in there too. I like to toss a bit more rub on at this stage just to build a heavy bark on the fat cap. I'll keep it at 200 and check back in on these bad boys in 4 hours. Remember, if you're looking, you ain't cooking. This video is brought to you by our sponsor, Woodchuck Firewood. Woodchuck has all kinds of different woods. He's based out of Valley Center, Kansas, but he ships his wood all over the country. If you're on the lookout for wood splits that you need for your barbecue, fire pit, or fireplace, Woodchuck Firewood is your guy. Look him up online and contact him if you want to place an order, and he'll take good care of you. After 4 hours, take a little look-see at your progress. Bark's not quite set yet, but we're developing some good color. Bump the temp up to 250 at this stage. Look again about 6 hours in and start checking for bark quality, color, and fat render. The bark is just about set, but the fat's not rendered yet. Check again at the 8-hour mark. I'm going to start probing with my Thermopin 1 to see where we're at temp-wise and get a feel for tenderness. When it's done, you'll likely be above 200 internal, and the probe will feel like a hot knife through butter. Two of the halves on the right were already done, but the other ones were lagging behind a bit. So we'll go ahead and remove the two that are done and set them on the counter to rest for about an hour to come down to 150 to 160 internal. I also repositioned the other ones in the pit. An hour and a half later, I came back and probe tested the other ones, and one more half was done, so I took it off. The first ones I took off are now down to around 150 to 160 on the counter, and you could pull and eat now, but I find a good long hold helps the end product. I'm going to wrap these in foil and toss in the warmer, but you could do a low oven till ready to eat. You could also do a cooler, just make sure the internal temp stays above 140 for food safety. You know, everybody likes to follow a recipe, but with barbecue, it's not always that easy. We had one pork butt that was completely done at the 8-hour mark, so we took that off. Now it's in the warmer. We had a half of a pork butt that was done at the 9.5-hour mark, so we took that off, and that's about ready to go into the warmer. Now we have 1.5 pork butts that are just lagging behind, so I decided to go ahead and wrap those in foil. Just to kind of push it along and just kind of helps finish off the cook a little bit. This is called the Texas Crutch. And this is another element to barbecue that you just can't always go by time. Sometimes you just got to go by temp and feel with the probe test. So that's what we're doing now. It's the art, not the science. I'll keep you posted. We crutched these, which helps push the butts through the stall. Just make sure your bark is fully set, as the crutch will steam your butts and denude your bark a bit. You can also crank your temp at this stage since your butts are wrapped. You don't have to worry as much about burning your bark, so I decided to go to 275. Alright guys, 11.5 hours in, these are good to go. Probing tender and between 203 to 210 internal. I'm taking these off and setting them on the counter to rest and eventually into the warming oven for a long hold overnight. I'm removing the first ones that were done 3.5 hours ago from the warmer and brought those in to pull and eat. If it's done right, that bone should just slide right out. I'm just going to make a pulled pork sandwich on a brioche bun with sliced onion, pickles, and Blues Hog honey mustard sauce. Smart. And that's how we pull pork at fire and ferment. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I love you guys, and stick around.